whoever expected that would be going this long? We put this together because we thought that we it would just be um, just maybe a couple weeks, a few weeks, but here we are in week 17, and so this program here is sponsored by Indian Collective, who's been doing some great work out there in Indian country, helping other programs, making contributions, donations, as well as taking a stand out there at Mount Rushmore, or I even hate to say that name. It's their traditional name, their traditional mountain that they're taking a stand for. Um, and again, my name is Gene Tagaban, and today we have the Peacekeeper Society with us. They're based out of Yakima, I believe. And I just wanted to bring them on and just to share a little bit of what they are. They're taking some action here. They're basically in the same situation. They wanted to do something for their people, and but before we get started, I just want to sing this song and just get started in a good way as we get started. And this sunrise song, and just to everybody out there who's listening, I just want to welcome you in. Come on in and listen. Invite other people in, and I'm going to sing this song. Just sunrise song. Just bring to your mind all those sunrises and even sunsets. It's the beauty. That's something. If you ever want to connect with your ancestors, is just to take a look at the beauty of nature, because those are the same things that our ancestors took a look at. They saw, and those things will never ever change. Those sunrises, those sunsets, the sounds of the waves, the breeze through the trees, all those things. The call of the eagles and the ravens. And so I'll sing the song. Get it started off in that good way. Hey yo, 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 hey yo. All right. So gonna teach. So Peacekeeper Society, and I'll just have you guys, each of you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit of who you are and the work that you're doing.
So my name is Chuchuchiai Raven, and I'm the executive director of the Peacekeepers Society. And we're based out of Hera, located on the Yakima Indian Reservation. And Peacekeepers Society, our mission is to provide life-changing mentoring opportunities and economic opportunities for our youth and adults. And I got my niece and nephew with me, who's also part of our emergency response team. And so if they would like to maybe introduce themselves just a little bit, go ahead, Juliana.
Hi, I'm Juliana. I really don't have anything to say.
Share your name, who your mom is, who your mom and dad is.
I'm Juliana. My mom is Juana, and my dad is JR.
Tell me how old you are and where you go to school.
I'm 13. I go to school at Tagaban Middle School.
I'm Elon Cripps. My mom is Juana. My dad is JR. I'm 15. I go to school in Toppenish at the high school.
Right on. Thank you. And so the Peacekeeper Society, what do you guys do? What do you guys do, and what's your more of your mission and the work that you're doing, especially during this time? I mean, we had this conversation too. It's like you wanted to do something during this pandemic, and so you guys stepped up and started taking action. What was that about?
Yeah, so Peacekeepers Society, we have our emergency response program, and we're in our third year right now with our emergency response program, but our nonprofit, we've been going for we're on our 6th year now, and the emergency response program before COVID-19 hit, we were at a much scaled down version of what we're doing right now. You know, we have tons of donations and different household items that we would help the community with. You know, say someone's house burnt down, or someone got broken into, or had some sort of emergency and they needed help with maybe a ceremony or food or household items. You know, we would take the whatever they needed to them and try to help them out, you know, and respond in that way. And so when COVID hit back in March, though, the request for help has just literally skyrocketed. And we went from doing, you know, maybe a couple of families here and there every week to literally we're serving thousands of people now. We serve the entire reservation here. Every family who lives on the reservation, we serve, regardless of age, color, ethnicity, enrollment status. We don't ask for proof of anything. All, as long as you live here within, you know, within the reservation, we help all families, farm workers, our Hispanic community, our non-native community. It doesn't matter, you know, because the Peacekeepers, we really believe and we really hold that idea that we are warriors and providers and traditional hunters and gatherers, and we really believe that idea behind that, that we serve everyone, you know, and that's what it means to be a peacekeepers for us. And so our emergency response program at first, you know, we didn't have the funds or the partnerships to do what we're currently doing. You know, we would go, you know, we have a membership that we buy into LifeGate, which is another nonprofit. We go every 2 weeks and we would get, you know, donations that's given by local companies like Walmart and stuff, and household items. And that's what we originally had. And so when this hit and everybody went crazy and started hoarding toilet paper and sanitizer was gone and basically food was gone, you know, we realized that, okay, we got to do something because there were so many people who weren't prepared for it. They didn't have anything. They didn't have no food, no sanitizer, no, you know, and no one, I don't think, was expecting, you know, like we had talked about. We thought, oh, it'll be 2 weeks and, you know, we'll be cool and it'll all kind of go back to hopefully normal. And I don't think no one even imagined that 2 weeks would turn into months and months. And now we're even looking at potentially beyond that in the next year. And so at first it was just, thank God, you know, we had a bunch of extra toilet paper and had, you know, had some sanitizer and a few essential items and some food and dry food. And, you know, I started reaching out. We started reaching out to, at first, we just started, you know, checking on the elders and sending out messages. Hey, well, if there's any elders or in someone in really hard need right now, let us know and we'll hook them up and help them out. And then it just started just piling in, you know, the request. And then that's when we really started like, okay, we need help with this. We didn't plan on this. We didn't have a budget for like COVID for an extended period, you know. And so really what has made the difference is the generosity of our other tribal neighbors and all of these other organizations, just like you mentioned, Indian Collective. They were one of the first tribal organizations to be able to grant us. They granted us 10,000. Wow. And so, you know, that was huge, you know, to really spur this emergency response. And then Yakima Valley Community Foundation, sponsored us with 5,000 and started bringing supplies. And then we just started, how do we get this to the community, and what's the best way to do it safely? Because no one had ever did this before. We've never been in a situation where we needed to distribute goods and supplies to people, but then do it in a way that we're not endangering ourselves. And so at first it was tricky, but what everybody started doing was these drive-through distributions, with sanitizer and food and everything. And so we just kind of started doing that as well. And so now every Friday we do a huge food distribution with mask and sanitizer. We've had mother distributions to help out with like diapers and wipes and formula and different things like that. And so every Friday we have about 70, sometimes even maybe close to 100 volunteers, mostly youth. We have a huge youth volunteer group along with their parents who mask up, and man, we're like a SWAT team anymore. We got it down to a science, and we show up in different communities throughout the res. It's a large reservation here in Yakima, and so there's a lot of remote communities, a lot of different places. And so just like this upcoming Friday, the city of Wapato has invited us and wants to host us and provide a place at the community center with traffic control for us to be able to do our drive-through food distribution. And we set up all of our shade tents and Northwest Harvest. Man, let me tell you, that organization is awesome. They made us a partner. And so now we have weekly shipments of thousands of pounds of food that we can help distribute. And so we set up our location, set up our tents, and everybody has their own areas and jobs that they know what to do now. We set up all of our mask station, our sanitizer, our foods, and it's just a huge operation that really has turned awesome now. And the people, at first, it was pretty decent lines, because everybody needed it. But once the word got out, and then once they really knew, like, wow, this organization serves everybody, not just enrolled tribal members, but the whole community. Now it's got to the point we have to really strategically plan where we do this, because we have hundreds and hundreds of cars, with mile-long lines.
Wow.
And so we've had, it's a huge thing. It's a huge operation, but what is so awesome that I've seen is how much our youth and our community has gotten involved with it.
Yeah.
And it's given them a way to respond. It's given them a way to respond. Most people felt helpless at first.
Yeah.
We didn't know. I mean, even me, I didn't know, like, well, what do we do? I mean, I'm totally caught off guard.
I felt the same way. Yeah.
And so this has been a really good organized response that's as safe as we can possibly make it. Everything's being sprayed down, everyone's wearing masks, keeping it sanitized as good as we can. And right now we're, it's helping the community, because there is a lot of need right now, really acute need with a lot of different things, with food and emergency supplies, and just, I think one of the biggest thing is that the community knows someone is looking out after them and has an eye on them and is checking in, and they have a way to request for help, on a personal level. They know us, most of our people who work with us, they know them. It's not like some huge organization that they'll send an email to and, hopefully get a response back in a month or two, And so that's kind of how we've been going with our emergency response. And then we've also been doing deliveries to, some of our really remote communities like Georgeville and all of the tribal communities, the fishing communities down on the Columbia River.
Yeah.
You know, and so we've taken loads of supplies down there to help them out too. You know, because they're a good hour and a half, some of them 2.5, 3 hours away from, you know, the central location here on the reservation, and so they don't have the access that most people do to all of the events that everyone is helping with, you know.
Yeah.
And so we make a special you know, a shipment to be able to go to them and make that response, also reach out to them as well. And so that's kind of what we've been doing right now. And that's basically, you know, all of our other programs have really shut down to almost nothing.
Yeah.
Because most of them are very community oriented, require workshops and hands-on. And so we've put most of our focus in right now to just helping everybody weather this, you know.
Yeah, I just want to put my hands up to you and all the volunteers, everybody who's just responding. I'm seeing this here post online right now, and somebody said like a SWAT team, guys are just going on in and, you know, and seeing the need and getting it done and setting up your tents and everything, and, you know, setting up your post
Yeah.
to do the work. You know, and you have a couple of, you know, I want to welcome Tashina on as well. She joined us, you know, and thank you. Welcome in. I hope you can hear us. And but yeah, a couple of years, Elon, you know, Elon and Juliana, you know, what has this meant to you? I mean, what do you guys help out with? What is, you know, and what's this mean to you? How about you, Elon? What do you have to say about this?
The way I am in it is I'm a runner. I go grab the box and put it in the car. And I think this is very helpful for people that can't get supplies. I feel like if this pandemic continues, that we will be able to continue serving for the community without hesitant.
Right on. Juliana, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Tell them what you do. Share like some of the stuff you do, some of the tasks you do. So like last Friday, what did you do?
I went and got masks for one of the.
Oh, okay. And so you handed out masks for the people.
And then you do sign-in.
Awesome.
These two are like what we call our runners. And so we have our sign-in people who like sign in the cars as they pull up. And then Elon and Juliana will really, the person signing them in will say, oh, I need what?
Like 4 adult masks and like 3 kids. So you go to the station with the mask and stuff. You get 2 hand sanitizers and the amount of masks they need. And you take it back to the person that signed them in.
Yeah.
Right on.
So these two have been here since day one, you know, their whole family, not just Juliana and Elon, but their mother and their auntie, and then all their other siblings. So it's been really a family event, you know, where when we first started asking for volunteers, because we didn't have enough people at the time, you know, their mother was like, oh, hey, I got a son who I can put to work.
He's not doing it. He's not doing anything right now.
Yeah, you know, and that was something that we got a lot of responses, was like, had a lot of grandmothers and moms say, hey, we got, you know, I got a grandson or a son or a daughter who's not doing anything. Can we bring them and put them to work. And I was like, great, man, that's awesome. And so, their mom brought them, and then instead of just leaving them, the whole family joined in. And now it's like their family is one of the big, our team leaders and core, units that we really depend on. And they've even recruited more, they brought their friends and things like that. So it's been really a family type of, response as well.
Cool. Just kind of putting down a couple notes here. Hey, so, and then we have Tashina. Can you introduce yourself?
I don't know is her audio working, Gene?
I don't know if your audio is working. It might not be connected. Yeah, we still can't. Yeah, it's not connected. We still can't hear you.
Maybe you can type her a little message and tell her that her audio is not working there.
No, I think she can hear us. I think you can hear us. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
No thought. I don't. She
No?
can't hear us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So,
text her and tell her we can't hear her audio.
Okay. Hey, so I'm gonna ask Elon a question here. Hey, so if it comes down to it, where you have to like put together some smaller posts or smaller areas where you can respond as opposed to the big one, and because you might have one big one, might go to another community. I mean, if you get big enough, you might have these smaller ones. Elon, do you think you could run that if you had to put it together?
Yeah, I think I could with a little bit of help from my mom.
Yeah.
So she could handle the paperwork, and I could more set it up, and I could probably get more help to do it.
Yeah. Right on. So you got a leader to another station right there.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
awesome. That's awesome. So I know Tashina was trying. I saw your lips moving, but you weren't. But I couldn't hear you.
I see on her little picture it says connecting to audio, and it's just
Yeah,
it's working, but
it's still streaming.
Yeah.
Hey, so one thing I do want to I mean, is that a possibility? Possibly you guys got one huge post that you might make these smaller ones here and there, just to be, to outreach even more. I mean, again, it's like you guys are utilizing, I mean, yeah. And I just want you guys, and I brought you on too, is because you guys, you just stepped up and started taking action to this, and all that. And so it's to let other viewers out there, is like that you can put this together yourself, if you have a desire, just wanting to know, just wanting to help, because I was in the same boat, man. I was like going, what can I do? I'm like kind of like feel helpless here, and had to like create a new thing here. And so but is that a possibility too? You can just start outreaching or other smaller posts here and there. Did you guys think about that one?
I think it's a good idea. It's something that has kind of crossed our mind, just because, like I said, there's so many other communities, and as you've seen, Elon, I know now that any of our team could easily. I mean, they don't need any one person there. They all know how to set it up now, and so I think it would be a good idea to potentially look at being able to have maybe these smaller ones, in different communities. I think what you were touching on too is that anyone else could do this in their community. You don't need, really you don't need a whole lot. I mean, if you have any type of supplies you can help someone with and are willing to do it. We didn't have no special equipment at first. I mean, a shade tent helps to keep the sun off you, and just some basic tables and set your stuff up. And Facebook is the way tribal communities talk to each other. So everybody has the way to advertise it. You don't need no special advertisement. You don't need any special equipment or anything. You just, you need to be able to be safe, follow all the precautions, wearing masks, plenty of sanitizer, keep everybody clean, and the willingness to be able to help someone, if and that's what I'm seeing right now is that everyone's willing to help.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, tribal, non-tribal, everybody. We got partners all around the United States, sending in thousands of masks, tons of sewing groups sewing for us. We got people all over who have sent donations, cleaning supplies, everything, anything and everything. And if you are willing to put it out there like, hey, we want to do this in our community, we want to try to help out our community, and we want to set up a drive-through supply or food distribution, and you put out there the ask and say, hey, who's willing to donate either some time or supplies to this? I guarantee you that people would help you, because right now everyone has an open heart and they're willing to help everyone. And someone would reach out to you and say, hey, I got some masks, or I got some food, or I know someone who could hook you all up with a few cases of whatever, and
Yeah.
it's doable.
Right now it's just about having the courage to ask, because sometimes that's the hardest part. Hey, Kukuke, why don't you text Tashina, tell her to log off, and then try to log back on.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. And maybe even if she has to, just call in.
Yeah, because I'd really like to get her on too, just to see.
Yeah,
But,
and Tashina's an emergency nurse at the hospital, and so she
Oh,
sees
really?
a whole nother thing that most of us don't even see.
Yeah, that's another part I'd like to ask too, is just because our nations, man, are getting hit hard with this illness, and it's like it's not really, being put out there in mainstream media about how really what's going on with our tribes and with our people of color, really.
Yeah.
And with your nation, or with the Yakima tribes, that's what's going on.
We had reporters last Friday from the New York Times come, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, they weren't doing a story specifically just on Peacekeeper, but they had been traveling throughout the tribes all over, and were doing trying to find out really what's going on with, because I think most tribes, there's been some serious increase in cases, and especially down in Dene country and here and different tribal
I think we got her.
nations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she was doing a story. It's supposed to come out, I think, end of the week or next week, and and I told him, I said, hey, she happened to be in Washington, and I said, come on over. You can really see what's going on. You can interview people and get a feel for it really firsthand. And so they asked some really good questions too. And they were trying to, find out what's really going on and why is this so bad in Indian country,
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of different factors to that. And I think Tashina would be a great one to really talk to that as far as healthcare and stuff too. And it looks like,
I think we got her on. Yeah, she's on. Hi,
are you on, Tashina?
Good morning, Shukhwaiski. Actually, maybe I should say Shukhwai, right? Because it's afternoon now.
So welcome on. Hey, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what you do? And yeah.
Sure. So my name's Tashina Nunez. I'm from Yakima, Washington. My profession is ER nursing. I've been an ER nurse for about 15 years. I've done a lot of things with nursing, including being a camp counselor for Nahashni for 10 years. And now I'm a group team leader for Peacekeepers organization here locally. So.
Well, thank you again for your work, and as a ER nurse, and and with the helping out with the Peacekeepers, first of all, as you're helping out with the Peacekeepers, what's your role? What you been doing with them, or helping them out, as other than everything?
Well, initially it started, just labor. I mean, just moving stuff and just getting, hands-on stuff. And now I'm kind of moving into helping facilitate locations, helping organize, and as well as maintaining like hygiene issues, because we already have a big outbreak here, right? So we're one of the worst places in the nation. So just maintaining hygiene too. Like one of the things I instituted when I first came on was sanitizing of the pens, because we had people signing, and so with a virus, it can connect, or it has issues with contact, right? So making sure that our pens, what people were signing with, were sanitized after every use, and we didn't want to expose other people while we're doing something good, right? So just simple things. Yeah, and now I'm starting to do more facilitation with locations and contacts as well.
So you're an ER nurse as well, and this illness, this virus, has been hitting the tribes really, really hard. I mean, what have you experienced in the hospitals, or in that, and why is it such a huge hit in Indian country so hard?
I believe there's a couple of reasons for that. In Seattle, when the outbreak hit, it was EMS and nursing homes that were involved, two of the biggest areas, right? And not to say that we haven't had nursing home outbreaks here, because we have, but because I think we live differently. We have multi-generational families and homes. So the two communities that are being impacted the most, and what I'm seeing in my profession, is the migrant community and the Indian community. I mean, Native Americans, we're just being hit really, really hard. And part of that, I believe, is socioeconomic levels. We work in service industries, we're out there with the public, and then also because we have multi-generational homes. We live with our grandparents and our parents, and sometimes nieces and nephews and aunties and stuff like that. So even in my home, I have a nephew that lives with me, and as well as my children. So and for many years I had my mother-in-law lived with me as well. So I think that's a cultural thing in both those communities. We don't I wasn't exposed to nursing homes until I actually was in nursing school, and it was a very hard thing for me to accept, almost to the fact that I almost left nursing school because of it. But it was my grandmother that kept me, going. So I think those are the two communities, and it's really hard, because what I'm seeing in the hospital is I'm seeing lots of elders, and I talked about this with one of the reporters, that I'm concerned about the future impacts as well, not just now, not just with the loss that we're seeing, because the elders that we're losing are important. They're knowledge keepers and storytellers, and so these are impacts that are going to affect not just this generation, but the next 3, 4, or 5 generations to come.
Yeah. I mean, it's really scary. And what you're saying too is you're helping the whole community, not just the native community, but the whole community too, because I mean, the wellness of the whole community is the wellness of the people. Right. I mean, everyone's work, everyone lives there in that community too. And so, and again, so how are the hospitals? How are the emergency rooms? I mean, are they just being, I mean, overloaded? I mean, and even not only that, but just our first line care workers in the hospitals and stuff like that, their mental health. I mean, how is that?
That's been pretty rough. I can, I can say that I have lost coworkers to COVID already. And that was really difficult. Last week, I believe we had 4 employees out that were ill with COVID, and we're a small rural hospital,
Yeah.
so we're the only level 3 trauma center for miles and miles, for hundreds of miles. So we're impacted immensely. Our ER only has approximately, I think we went from 35 to like 43 rooms. We actually had to change the way our ER was set up for this impact. And the mental health has been a struggle, because you, as a nurse, my profession is to care for somebody, to help somebody. With the shortages of PPE, which is protective equipment, we can't go into rooms as much as we want. We can't be by the side of our patients as much as we want. We can't hold their hand, as much as we want, or even just share that compassion, that bedside nursing, because we have to be mindful of how many times we go in the room, because we're limited on PPE. So, we just can't go in the room and expose ourselves and not be healthy ourselves. So that's been difficult on a personal level. And I know a lot of the nurses I work with have been talking about that as well. And physically it's demanding. You're putting on multiple layers of, we wear 2 masks. We were assigned 2 N95 masks when the outbreak occurred, or I should say when it was posted in March. And we were told that those 2 N95 masks need to last us until this outbreak is over, which we don't know how long that's going to be. So we put on our N95, and then we put on another mask to protect our N95, plus our goggles or our face shields, plus our, gowns and everything. So physically, it's kind of a demanding process as well. And they're hot. They're like plastic bags. I mean, it's not easy.
Oh yeah, I know. I was wearing my mask. I was telling my wife I had my mask on, and then I get to the car and take it off, and I was just going, I can't imagine like our healthcare workers have this on all day long.
Yeah.
And I'm wrapped up and everything. I mean, thank you for your work and who you are and what you do. My mom's a nurse. Well, she's a retired nurse. And she'd probably still be at it if she was, if she's right now taking care of my dad. But and so thank you for your work and who you are, and and first of the Peacekeepers. Thank you. Is there what do you guys need? What do you need for your people? What do you need for the community? What are some of those needs, not only now but even in the future? What are those needs, not only physically, resources, products and stuff like that, but even a need for the people themselves? What do they need to do to help out, or just what's the need?
I think one of the biggest, there's a couple of things that come to my mind here, Gene. There's the obvious. We need funds and we need supplies to keep up the current pace. I mean, we're at a pace that's just crazy. I mean, each week we're distributing. Last week we did almost 15,000 pounds of food, water, plus hundreds of masks and hundreds of sanitizers. So that's the obvious need, and anybody who wants to help us with that, that's great. But something on a different level is for our people. We need a long-term strategy. That's what I'm seeing, is that, right now we're dealing with the immediate acute need. And that's good. We need to do that. There's that emergency response that's happening. But this isn't like, say, something that oh, we deal with it and then it just finally goes away and then it's done.
Right.
You know, we're going to be dealing with the emotional side of it. We're going to be dealing with the financial side of it. We're going to be dealing with, you know, the relationship side of the impacts that it's done to our community, our mental health, our jobs, everything. We're going to have to really figure out, like, okay, what's the long-term strategy after we're done with this emergency response? You know, when do we turn that into, okay, recovery? How do we recover from this? You know, and
Yeah.
so we need help, and we have partners who's working with us, but we could use more to figure out how do we go into recovery mode. You know, eventually there's going to be a point where, like, okay, we need to shift from being straight up distributor of food and supplies to, like, how do we empower the people to heal from this and recover from it economically and spiritually and physically. You
Yeah.
know, because there's a lot of impacts from this that we're going to be dealing with for years. And so, you know, that's a huge one, is like this, creating a long-term strategy to recover from it, you know. And so that's one of my big thoughts, is how do we do that, and who can help us with that, you know.
Great thoughts. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, not only just in Indian country, that, I mean, we need to start thinking about who do we want to be, and what, when we come out of this in the long term, you know, because I mean, we're going through trauma right now. I mean,
Yeah.
We're being traumatized,
Mhm.
you know, along with everything else that we've experienced. So what's that healing look like, and you know, and who are we going to be, you know, because a lot of people are going through that. So yeah. So what is that long-term strategy? That conversation needs to continue on, you know, how we're going to do that. And
I think that's where partners like Native Wellness, Indian Collective, and other organizations like, you know, Northwest Portland area Indian Health Board, people who have that ability to help smaller organizations like us create, you know, strategies, and help us with, like, the technical support and all of the things to help us build that, you know. And that's where these other corporations that we partner with, you know, a lot of our farm growers here, they are been tremendous partners in this. They've supported it, that they allow us to use their locations. They've supported us with money and supplies and equipment. And so it's like a request to everybody, you know, we're going to need that technical support to create a long-term vision of recovery.
right on. Hey, Tashina, in the what about in the health field, medical field? I mean, what are you thinking? You know, what's the need there, and you know, and how are we going to heal? I mean, part of it too. You know, I'm reaching out to you. I have, you know, I'm for instance myself, and with the Native Wellness Institute, we want to help our frontline workers, those in the health field, those are on who, because I know you're feeling. I mean, you're seeing relatives and you're seeing friends and other coworkers who are suffering from this, you know, and so your wellness, your well-being, and your spiritual well-being as well. I mean, we've been praying for you, and we also want, you know, as a wellness institute, we want to reach out to that demographics as well. It's like, how can we be part of the healing? You know, how can we? What can we do? You know.
Well, first of all, thank you. Your prayers are really appreciated, and I really appreciate it. We have been getting support from community for masks as well. Not so much the gowns, but for masks, we can always use more N95 masks. I think we're estimated that our department actually will run out like in about 2 months, which kind of scares me. And that scares me on a huge level, because I'm concerned that this virus is not going to be a 1-year thing. I as far as research goes, I mean, there's research coming out for this virus every day, but from what we've seen, the antibodies start to wear off about 2 to 3 months. So what we could see is actually an ebb and flow or spike of outbreaks, you know, every couple months. that could happen if we don't get the numbers down. So that concerns me on a larger scale. Personally, I have to take self-care days, on my days off. I mean, I work long hour shifts. I'm talking about 12, 13, 14 hours, excuse me, 12, 13, 14 hours of shifts. So
Wow.
I'm gowned up or, working all day, which takes a toll physically as well, because I can't drink. Normally I would have a huge jug of water sitting at my desk, and every time I would come back to chart, I could drink water, or maybe even, not supposed to, but have a snack, during those times. I can't do that while I'm at work. So I'm trying to literally fuel up on water and food in those few moments that I have a break. And sometimes I don't have a break. It's that bad. Mentally, like I said, and emotionally, spiritually, I have to take personal breaks. And for me, sometimes that just means a hike or time in my garden, or helping other people, because that really helps me as well. But we definitely could use more masks and 95 masks for sure, as far as supplies go.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I just can't help but think, I mean, we're just talking about Yakima,
Mhm,
but this is going on in Dene country.
mhm.
This is going on in White Mountain Apache, Pine Ridge, and all these other, and they're remote. There are these remote areas, and people just don't realize that it's just that the access to many of these places is just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get emotional when I talk about our Indian people, and so, yeah. So thank you for stepping up, and I just want to encourage other people out there to you can do something. We can, and that's it. We can do something. We can work together, and and to empower, you have the ability to do something in your community, even if it's just keeping your own family safe, just your own family safe, or keep them healthy, and asking for that help,
Can I say something as well,
yeah,
Jean?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
this is something we talked about with our Peacekeepers leaders meeting, is changing the narrative of death. We're having a lot of death. And as an ER nurse, I've seen a lot of death, a lot, probably more than most people. But my personal perception of death is something beautiful. It's not something to be feared. It's not something to run from. It's not something, I guess, that the majority of my society, or even some of my coworkers, have those same perceptions. And part of that is my own personal story with my grandmother, and assisting her through the death process, and her death journey, I guess you could say. So for me, it was a beautiful thing, that I got to be there and be with her, and my family all got to be there. And so I see some areas that could be impacted in locally, and I'm not, as a healthcare worker, I'm always there to help anybody that comes into the ER, right? But I don't think people understand of what those impacts are on a fiscal area as well. So, for example, say you're 23, you're a healthy 23-year-old that comes in with COVID and you need hospitalization. You might need hospitalization for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Those fiscal impacts are going to impact your family and your children and anything that happens after that as well, right? When it might be possible that you're taken care of at home. So, and if death is imminent, why not be around family during that time.
Mm.
I've had patients that walk in, and we know from lab levels, we're starting to get studies on lab levels. So I know a person that walks in and they may not look that bad initially, but I know that in 24 hours or 48 hours, they're probably not going to be walking this earth anymore. And I really believe that that time or those moments are precious. And personally, I believe that they should be able to be spent with family, but because of COVID, that's not an option. You know, once you go into the hospital and you're a COVID rule out, for example, you come in, say you're bringing your mom in, you meet her, you come to the ER door and you're stopped right there. You cannot go any farther. You cannot come in the waiting room. You cannot wait for them. You cannot go in the room with them. That person will take that journey alone from that moment on. So I think that's something that needs to be discussed as well.
Mm.
And I don't think we're having enough discussions about that. And that's something hard for me to see personally in my profession. You know, I can walk by the window and I can see my friend's dad laying there by himself, or her grandpa, or her, or her uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, you know, he might only have 24 or 48 hours with their grandma. And I know because of their lab results.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something we're not really discussing, and something that I don't think the medical field is really sharing with the public as well either. I mean, we are sharing it within our own. We have our own sites. I'm part of a couple sites for frontline workers and healthcare workers that we share research with. But, you know, I think those are important facts. I mean, even before COVID hit, if I knew somebody was close to death, I would have that personal communication. I would sit at the bedside and say, hey, you know, your mom might not be here for 2 more days, or your mom might not be here for another day. I think it's really important that you take this time and share anything that you have, and tell them how much you love them and how much they meant to you during this time, these moments that are important. And this virus has taken that time from people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing and sharing that in our narrative around death. You know, and as Native people, I've had that talk with other elders about this time, and you know, and maybe this might comfort, you know, because we have a belief that when that time comes, that our ancestors are coming to get us, are coming in to get us, and that they surround us, and that and so that gave me a little comfort too, that they're not alone when that time comes. Then, you know, and that belief that our ancestors are with them, you know, and to take them back, you know, drape the blanket around them, you know, come, you know, we're here for you, you know, and you know, and I remember this one time I was in the hospital too, and those nurses, and we're sitting around a hospital bed with a loved one who's passing on, and surrounding them, giving them prayers. And the nurse was standing to the side. I said, come in. You come in and circle too, because you're part of this. Not only that, but your ancestors are here with all these ancestors that are there. And that comforts me, you know, and you know, and your ancestors, you know, and with Ilan and Juliana, your ancestors, and you know, Chachai, you know, your ancestors are guiding us during this time, you know, asking the question, what do we do? I don't know what to do. I just want to say is that thank you for listening to those whispers of your ancestors, because you're doing it. You're stepping up and you're doing the work. You know, and I just want to encourage somebody out there to just to take some time, just to listen to those whispers of those ancestors, because they're talking to us all the time. And so thank you. So one thing I do want to say is, to all this, I mean, what part of the thing that I'm helping out. I want to help out with the Yakima tribe and the families, and so I'm actually doing a bike ride next Saturday on July 18th. I'm putting in 100 miles, and I'm asking people to donate whatever they can. And that's just, everyone has a skills, gifts, and talent. What can we do with it? And so I'm going to ride my bike. I'm putting in 100 miles, and I'm raising funds to help the Yakima tribes. And we can make donations to the Native Wellness Institute, just to do that, and just to, just, I wanted, whatever I can do
Thank you.
to help out. And then after that, I want to do another ride for another tribe, other people, because I just want to, so it's just my part in, like, what can I do? And I'd like to continue the conversation with you as well as Tashina, as far as, like, even with the Native Wellness Institute, like, what can we do to help those nurses, those doctors, those ER, to help them with their wellness, to help them with their healing and with their spirit as well,
At work, we actually have a board of cards from our community members that we walk by every day as we head out onto the floor. So by all means, cards or notes are welcome any day. Yeah.
Awesome. And Kukuk Chai. Okay, I'm just like, I've got my mind all, I totally butchered that one up, man. So any last words here? Any last words, man?
Yeah, you know what? As Tashina was talking, and we've talked about this changing the narrative, and I think, I talked with Don Coyas of White Bison. Me and him had a really long talk the other day, and we were talking about how, yes, there's a lot of suffering right now. There's a lot of pain, and there's a lot going on. But he was telling me all these different stories of elders that he had talked to, and how the narrative that they're sharing and that the elders have told him is that this is the perfect opportunity for change.
Yeah.
It's reflecting, what do we need to change in our society, our community, within our government, within our own homes, and even our own self. What needs to be changed, and even though we have disaster and a pandemic, sometimes that's what's necessary to make us humans look at things and look at it in a way that we're ready to change. And so, that's part of changing that narrative that Tashina was talking about, is that we got to turn this around where it's no longer, oh, COVID, and we're afraid and we're scared.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, and we vilify it. We got to stop doing that and look at this as, hey, this is serious, but you know what? It's the perfect time for us to be able to look at things in an honest way and turn it around. What do we need to do to heal from this and stay healthy and stable and committed to one another and a long-term vision, and so this is what the our grandmother, the earth, and everything it's given us this opportunity for us to step forward, like you said, and share what we can, but also change what needs to be changed, for the best.
Right on. I like that it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to heal. To change that narrative, and as Native people come together. So Tashina, we're asking the question, where can we send cards? Do you have an address that we can send cards to?
For our department, let me get you the address. Give me 2 seconds, sorry.
Okay. And to donate for the Native Wellness Institute, .com/donate for the bike ride. And then the Native Wellness Institute is actually donating $10 a mile for my 100-mile ride. we already have other people coming in and donating, and we just want to just our way to helping. I was, just how are we going to help, man? You guys are out there doing the work. You guys are doing the doing the footwork. If we can just get you some funds somehow, and get you on here too, just to let people know that you're out there doing the work, and encourage other tribes, other people you can start on your own, man. Start your own peacemakers, out there too.
So so my first request would probably be to our EMS and even our tribal police, because they're covering a huge distance and they're limited resources. So that would be my first request, and we could have those cards probably sent to Peacekeepers, correct?
Yeah, we can send those to PO Box 441, Hara, Washington 98933.
And then
98933.
Yep, 98933.
And then the hospital that I'm working at is Virginia Mason Memorial Hospital. The address for that is 2811 Tieton Drive, Yakima, Washington, and it's 98902.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to say on behalf of Peacekeepers Society, a big thank you, Kwasanu Shamash, to Native Wellness Institute for, reaching out and doing this. We're really grateful for, our tribal organizations who reach out and help. And you know what? That's what I've shared in that newspaper article, is that Indian sense of giving to one another and sharing. That's what's going to be another thing that gets us through this, that loving and being able to give, and so I just want to say thank you to Native Wellness Institute, for giving us the opportunity to be here today, and also, being generous with the fundraiser and all of that. So thank you so much. And thank you, Gene, for facilitating this. It's really good to see you.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to, I know we're over time right now. I just want to take this one thing too, is like, to our viewers out there, that I worked with, how do you say your name again? Say it.
Hukukiai.
Kukukiai. And so I got it. But I worked with Kukukiai, and personally, I was going through some personal stuff, and I lost contact with him, and I felt really bad, and again, in front of everybody too, I just really apologize for that, because it had nothing to do with you or anything like that, man, and we talked about that the other day, and it was because I felt really bad about that, and so I just wanted to bring this out to people,
Thank you. And what people may not know is that Gene was our first president, and so he has a lot of he is part of the inspiration behind Peacekeepers Society. He was there, in the very beginning when we started almost 6 years ago, and helped give us the inspiration for this. So it's all good, and it came back full circle. So thank you.
Right on, brother. And Sister Tashina, thank you so much. And Ilan and Juliana. And who's that little one?
Who's that little one?
It's Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Right on. Hey, keep up the good work. Our prayers are with you. And
Thank you.
And any way that we can help, and and sister, be strong. And then when you're not strong, that's okay. Let the tears fall. And our ancestors are with you. And so again, this here program, the Native Wellness Power Hour, is sponsored by Indian Collective, and we're on every day at noontime, just for programs like this, inspiration, good thoughts, and words, healing, to bring keep the ancestral wisdom alive. And so I wanted to say thank you all. Thank you for viewing. Spread the word, help each other out. Love, 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 love. So blessings,
Thank you.
blessings, blessings. Until next time, Gunachish, and Yahusari, Kewe Haya, Gunachish, ho ho, ho ho, ho ho. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Bless. We'll see ya.